Let me ask you a question. What do you feel when you hear this? You might feel uneasy, or maybe even sad or depressed. And that's exactly what you feel when you listen to Ever at the End of Time. And I'm going to talk about that. Now, what is Ever at the End of Time? Now, you should know, but for those who don't, it's a 6.5-hour project about dementia made by James Leland Kirby, or The Caretaker. It has 6 stages, right? And it progressively gets more confusing and worse as time goes on. And I wanted to talk about that right here. Stage 1 of Ever at the End of Time, and all of these samples have, or all of the albums have this, old 20s to 40s ballroom music. This one only has a bit of minor distortion, as in reverb and a little bit of echo in some places. It is described in the video as, "Here we experience the first signs of memory loss. The stage is most like a beautiful daydream, the glory of old age and recollection, the last of the great days." You can make whatever you want of this, but I like to imagine it as sort of like the calm before the storm. Sort of like you're trying to pretend like it's not there. After some careful thinking, I decided that Stage 1 had some of the best tracks in the entire project, and I say that because 1, they're sort of nostalgic, like really nostalgic actually, and 2, because they're just sort of off-putting, not like Stage 2 off-putting or Stage 3, sort of like something's off, but you can't really notice it off-putting. I feel like the track Childishly Fresh Eyes perfectly captures this feeling of something's off, but you can't really notice it. Like, it's trying to seem grand and sort of like, oh, this is great, look at me, look at how much I've accomplished. But it's just like something's off about it, like maybe you misremembered something about it, or maybe you just didn't remember it right at all. Stage 2 is the sadder version of Stage 1, including song titles like The Way Ahead Feels Lonely, Misplaced in Time, and What Doesn't Matter How My Heart Breaks. The samples are more echoed, and it has a more static and grain to it. This is very prominent in the first song of the first track of the album, A Losing Battle is Raging. This was the section of the project that made me tear up the most. This is probably due to its slow pace and, sad nature of most of the tracks in this stage. This is very prominent in songs like Misplaced in Time and The Way Ahead Feels Lonely. The description of Stage 2 in the project video is, the second stage is the self-realization and awareness that something is wrong, the refusal to accept that. More effort is made to remember, so memories can be more long-form, with a little more deterioration in quality. The overall personal mood is generally lower than the first stage, and at a point before confusion starts setting in. Stage 3 is like Stage 1 and Stage 2 combined. Stage 3 has more of a clippy, glitchy tone to it, if that makes sense. Most of the tracks are severely echoed, and that's very prominent, changing the entire melody of the songs. In the project video, the description for Stage 3 reads, "Here we are presented with some of the last coherent memories before confusion fully rolls in and the gray mist form and fade away. Finest moments have been remembered, the musical flow in places is more confused and tangled. As we progress, some singular memories have become more disturbed, isolated, broken, and distant. These are the last embers of awareness before we enter the post-awareness stages." Probably one of the most disturbing tracks in Stage 3 is Hidden Sea Buried Deep, and this because of how tight the loop is. This makes it scary because it just shows how far the mind is from what it was in the beginning and how much it's deteriorated. And this makes it kind of sad too, well obviously, but this just kind of shows the whole point of the whole project basically. Post-awareness stage 4 is where serenity and the ability to recall singular memories give way to confusion and horror. It's the beginning of an eventual process where all memories begin to become more fluid through entanglements, repetition, and rupture. Now, I know in this section, most Ever at the End of Time videos will only talk about the hell sirens in the first 10 seconds of G1, but I'll go a bit deeper than that. This stage includes songs that are heavily distorted and scrambled that are playing on the right and left channel of your audio system. I feel like the stage, no matter how scrambled it is or unpleasant to hear, captures the feeling of dementia. I feel like you're trying to listen to one channel and the other channel gets louder, then you'll focus on the other one and vice versa. This makes you more confused and it'll make you have a harder time trying to focus on one thing. This stage is noticeably longer than the other stages, running at 90 minutes. Another differentiating factor of this stage is that it only has 4 songs, should I say. 3 of them are named Stage 4 Post-Awareness Confusions, and one of them is named Stage 4 Temporary Bliss State. Looking at the odd and oddly scientific names of these tracks, one can come to the conclusion that these weren't named by the person with dementia themselves, rather named by either their caretaker or someone else working at the nursing home. Near the end of Stage 4, we can see that the audio is less conjunction mess of 2 different channels and samples of songs, and more of ambience noise, which fittingly leads into Stage 5. Stage 5 is much like Stage 4, but much worse. It has much more of a garbled mess than Stage 4, featuring few moments of clarity like you just heard. That was moment of clarity number 1. This stage may or may not be the most horrifying stage in the entire project. This stage ends similarly to how Stage 4 ended, with a sudden fading out during the end part of the last track. Contradicting to what I said earlier, this stage, it's less of a garbled mess, although it is, and it's more of like Stage 2 was, and it had a lot of white noise. Sort of as an in-between stage between Stage 4 and 6. health sirens are a part of stage 4 early on. It features long, droning, low-pitched noises similar to stage 6, but more intense. To me, it sounds like post-traumatic stress disorder or sundowning. Sundowning is when usually elderly people they lash out and get super aggressive, and as it suggests, it happens later in the evening or at night. Others say the health sirens are the person who has dementia succumbing to what they've become over the years and ultimately being very distraught by it. I will now play the health sirens. A little bit of an ear rape warning for headphone users. Anyway, thanks for watching, I guess. One thing I should add is that if you do end up falling asleep during stage 4 or any of the later stages, just let it come. Don't try to wake yourself up, because you will have some very scary dreams, and that will immerse you.